Welcome to Casa Stefano. This is my story of buying a house in Italy, sight unseen, during the pandemic, and the adventure of renovating the house and exploring the Salento in southern Puglia. So just like you, I spent the pandemic sitting at home reading those amazing stories on CNN about €1 homes, thinking, man, that just sounds like something fantastic. Well, I bought a house in southern Italy, sight unseen, during the pandemic. So in this video, I'll go through the process of how I made that happen. So the first thing I figured out was that those €1 homes probably needed a lot more work than I wanted to do. I wanted to fix something up, but I didn't want to spend several years doing it and to great expense. I wanted something that I could fix up a little bit and move into rather quickly and start enjoying the beauty of southern Italy and spending a lot of time there. So how did I end up doing this? Honestly, I was bored. I was sitting at home, working remotely, by myself, trying to find things to do, thinking about my retirement in the future. So I started looking around just like the rest of you. So eventually I got that little voice in the back of my head saying, you could make this happen. That would be me. I'm the voice in his head. So to start off, I'll answer the questions that basically everybody I've talked to has wanted to know. They are why, where, who, and how. So first, why? Well, it does sound kind of crazy. Sounds like it could be a money pit. Everybody thinks I'm out of my mind. They probably think you're out of your mind too. But there are a couple of reasons. First of all, I might be retiring in 5 or 10 years. So the idea of having a place I could spend a lot of time at, or even live in full-time in retirement, sounded pretty interesting. Prices are fairly inexpensive, and Italy has a great residency program for retirees. So that was one option. The other why is just a lifestyle choice. I was born and raised in foreign countries. I spent much of my youth and teenage years living abroad. I wanted to get back to an international lifestyle. I do work remotely, so in the meantime, I can certainly spend time there and do my job. So people ask, how did I figure out where to focus my search in Italy? And I looked at a lot of places. The €1 homes are situated all over the country, many of them though in the south, in Calabria, Sardinia, Sicily. And Sardinia and Sicily seemed kind of remote to me, although very pretty, very interesting. So I looked in Calabria as well, but something really struck me about Puglia, the architecture, the Mediterranean environments, the food, the people, and of course you find that all over Italy, and the history as well. But when you look at the Salento, which is the southern heel of the boot, you see that there is just a boatload of towns, all rather close together, and hundreds of miles of coastline with beautiful beaches, lots of agriculture, so there's a bounty of fresh produce. It just, it seemed like a really cool place. I spent a lot of time traveling around the Mediterranean, so I really found it very attractive. Plus, the architecture in the area is kind of fascinating to me. The way they build homes is really cool, and as you'll see in the house that I bought, as well as other houses that I looked at, they have some really cool architectural features. Obviously, I couldn't do this myself. I had to have somebody on the ground locally to help me out. So who was that? Davide Mengoli. and his business, Salento with Love. Maybe you've seen his videos on YouTube. And he had a service, a finder service, to select 5 houses, and he would go and do an inspection and provide video and commentary and discuss, some of the options and attributes of these properties. And I found that incredibly beneficial. So, yeah, that guy right there, Davide Mengoli. I blame him for everything. How did I look at houses? So what Davide did is I selected 5 homes that I found basically on the major real estate sites in Italy, immobiliari.it, casa.it, and idealista.it. There's others, but most of the listings you can find on those websites. And so I spent a ton of time looking at a lot of different houses and narrowed it down to, initially it was 4. And I actually selected one of those 4 and made an offer, but that fell through. And then, which ironically, months later, they came back and wanted to accept our offer. And I had already moved on to the 5th property, which I ultimately bought. How did I figure out what to buy specifically? Well, I had a budget. Initially, my budget was 20,000 euro, which is not a lot of money. Even though property prices in Italy are rather low, a lot of properties turn out to be an awful lot of work, even at that price, in that region of Italy. So after looking at some houses and the kind of work that I'd have to do for something in that price range, I kind of upped my game a little bit and started thinking, well, if I could find something under 30,000 euro, that would be probably a bargain. Initially, I basically set some basic parameters. I mean, at least 50 or 60 square meters. Anything less than that is pretty small. I knew it would need some fixing up, but hopefully that would be mostly cosmetic. Something that I could do myself, since I've done a lot of DIY stuff around the home. I think most importantly, I wanted some place that offered some outdoor living space. Having a terrace, being able to cook outside, barbecue, spend time in the evenings outdoors, that was really important. Start with a list. He didn't start with a list. He ended up with a list, but he didn't start with one. Architecturally, it's really interesting how they build houses in Puglia. They quarry limestone, and they have a traditional building technique that creates these amazing high vaulted ceilings in the homes that are really kind of interesting looking. And that was important to me. I didn't want something that looked kind of old and interesting on the outside, but then on the inside was really just kind of a newer looking, you just felt like you were in an apartment somewhere. I wanted something that would feel like I was in an old world kind of place, but functional as well and safe.
Stay tuned for more. In episode 2, I will show you the first 3 properties I viewed remotely with the actual video from the Property Finder, Salento with Love. Thanks for watching.